Celeste is one of the most important games I've ever played. In 2023, I've decided to replay this game because there's never a bad time to re-experience the message that this game is trying to give to you. One of battling your demons and using your weaknesses to better your strengths, in order to achieve maximum self-actualization and be content with your place in life. But first of all, we're going to touch upon the gameplay because there is no genre or premise that would better serve this than a 2D platformer, where you attempt to climb a mountain. The metaphors are just off the charts here. The gameplay is smooth and evolves with each chapter. It's not easy, but it's not too frustrating either, because each and every time you die, you know why you died, and you know that it was exclusively your fault. It's easy to recognise what you should have done instead and implement that into your next attempt. There's no punishment for dying, the checkpoints are extremely generous, you just pick up at the same screen you died, and then you go again. No matter how many times you fail, there's no shame in trying again. This is how the gameplay attempts to mirror Madeline's mindset. You don't know why, Madeline barely seems to know why, but Madeline needs to climb this mountain. Simultaneously, we know that we also need to finish the game. There's no real purpose of us doing so, we aren't special, we will never be the first to finish the game. Aside from one individual on the planet, we won't be the quickest to finish the game. But we keep progressing, we keep moving forward despite numerous deaths and failed attempts, simply because, for whatever reason, we feel like we have to. Each time you complete a screen and move on to the next section, you feel like you've accomplished something, and it feels good. Madeline isn't the first person to climb this mountain, and bless her heart, she absolutely will not be the quickest, but she knows that she needs to climb it, to prove something to herself. Whatever that is, not even she is truly sure of. The biggest obstacle in the way of Madeline achieving her goal is her own self-doubt, which is personified through the form of Madeline, a darker version of Madeline who chastises her through the duration of the game, popping up sporadically to deflate Madeline's optimism, in an attempt to convince her not to continue climbing the mountain. She consistently gets in Madeline's head, making her doubt herself and in some cases making her be a dick to people, and in turn triggering a boss fight. This reflects Madeline's pattern of self-fulfilling prophecy. If she believes deep down that she can't achieve anything in life, then she never will. Life is of course not as simple as that, but it becomes substantially harder to achieve anything when you have the mindset of, I know I can't do it, what's the point? So, in the sequences where we run away from Madeline, which are surprisingly scary by the way the music picks up in pace, it all made me weirdly uncomfortable. Madeline is running away from the fear that she's worthless, because she's reluctant to accept that that's all she is, that she isn't capable of doing something worthwhile. Next, it's time to talk about the importance of the feather. Somehow, I had actually completely forgotten about this before I replayed the game, and I don't really know how, because it's probably the easiest yet most important message to take away from the whole thing. Madeline begins to have a panic attack when the cable car stops, and Theo teaches her a method of overcoming the panic attack that he knows from dealing with his sister who also suffered from them. Envision a feather in the middle of your eye line. Each time you breathe in, the feather moves down. When you breathe out, the feather moves up. Or maybe it's the other way around, I can't remember. Your goal is to keep the feather in the middle of your vision. Its intention is to regulate your breathing. And by God, does it actually work? They do a great job of setting the scene, with the world becoming darker and closing in when she's panicking, with the game lightening up once her breathing smooths out. Expert direction. We then have the ending of the game. Reaching the top of the mountain feels great, but it's somewhat anticlimactic. If you were to ignore the narrative elements, there's no reward. There's no dramatic cutscene or anything. Madeline just reached the top. So did you. That's kind of it. Reaching the summit was never going to do anything in and of itself to change Madeline's life. She hasn't made a grand difference to the world. However, she did prove to herself that she's capable of completing a task that she sets her mind to, and that shift in mindset is the greatest gift that the mountain could have ever given her, as she walks down the mountain at peace with her demons, a more confident person, ready to take on the next challenge she faces.